I hope you can feel us, and you're definitely about to hang out with us.
Just do the things that make you feel good in life.
Is it helpful? Is it hurtful? Or is it going to make people laugh?
How would you identify yourself?
Trusting yourself enough to put trust in strangers.
It's a process, like everything else.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Human to Human. I'm so excited to be sitting down with my guest for today. We're going to be talking to Major. Okay, we haven't had a full sit-down conversation in 4 years, by the way. And so I just go back to that conversation because it really meant a lot. We had just met, and it was for a series I was doing called The Concert Experience, and your single at the time was Why I Love You, and we were talking through it, and it was just true. Beautiful. It was one of the best intros I've had with meeting somebody, because our relationship since then has just it's so rooted in that conversation, like the love that we expressed and felt, and just was like, wait, why you lit, you from Houston, like it was all of that.
That's right. H-Town.
You know what I'm saying? We were doing the Frenchies mixed with, like, we went there, and then on top of that, yes. And on top of that, we just, you know, every time I'm around you, talk to you, get to engage, get to celebrate you, it's always such a pleasure. So I'm so happy you're a guest on the show. Thank you for being here.
I'm honored to be a guest. There's a lot that I saw, a lot that you've accomplished, and a lot more that you've yet to rise up in. I'm glad that you have not quit, because you're necessary and absolutely needed. Every bit of your fairy tale is meant to be realized. So don't lose it. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. It all makes sense, and it's all counted. Wow. For the time that is set for you. I'm telling you. 4 years ago. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. That makes
That's true.
Mom's 60th birthday coming up? Because I remember you were celebrating.
Yeah. Wow. Because that's so crazy. Yeah. Well, she turned 60 next year.
Okay.
Next year.
Okay. But I remember that you were like 55th or something like that, or 56, and I was like, oh, that's so amazing. I remember, like, I love that celebration.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah. I have to give the same sentiment to you, because the conversation we had at that point, and where careers are going, and just where you are as an artist, to see the way you have developed, how your impact has grown immensely, how you as a person, it's like, I don't even know how much you've changed, because, like, on some level, I'm like, you haven't changed at all. You literally feel like the same person. Right. I know you have changed. And so it's wonderful to see that, and to feel like, yeah, he's changed, but, like, low-key, that was who he was when I met him back then. So I just appreciate that same thing for you.
Right.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's such a beautiful part of your journey too. And one thing I wanted to talk
about. Yeah,
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, talking to you about the layers of love was important to me, because to me, your entire journey, who you are, is love. But within that, there's so many layers to that. You know, how it shows up with ourselves, how it shows up with relationships, how it shows up with family, with fans, with the music, with career. So I definitely want to get into that. But I also wanted to hear what you were gonna say.
No, I mean, you're setting it up, so it's actually, I gotta just trust how it's organically evolving. So let's go.
Yeah. You got married recently. Congratulations.
Did. The love of my life. She's I've known her since high school, and we met. We didn't go to the same high school, but she was a cousin of my best friend from high school. We went on a date when I graduated, right before I left to go to college. And she kind of, was like, yeah, he's too old fashioned. I brought flowers and everything. I was 18, taking her to Olive Garden. Who does that? But, I said she'll be back. And sure enough, she's back. We hadn't talked in over 15 years. And so to reconnect almost 3 years ago, it was like destiny, serendipity. Yeah.
What? I forgot. Yeah. Man, the trust you would have to feel, or I don't know if you recognize the trust after or during that 15 years, but did you think about, oh, this might be the person within that 15 years, or it was kind of like,
nope.
Right.
Nope. I was just like, oh oh, she played me. It's
It's
all
whatever.
good. You
Mhm.
know, it's whatever. But when I saw her again, I had that thing where I'm like, that's Nichelle. Like I got it again, but I was in a different place where I didn't feel desperate. I just felt like I show up, she shows up, and if it makes sense, we glow up.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a songwriter, guys. Let's just put that.
I know, right? Bars.
He is a songwriter.
Bars.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you feel like the love between you and Nichelle and your wife and how it's expanded has changed how you see love?
I have grown deeper in my understanding of love because marriage is absolutely work. You know, it's not all the super fluffy stuff consistently. You'll have those blissful moments, but it's work because you're learning to lay your stuff and yourself aside, you know, at times to make room for another. You have to share perspective. You have to share physical space. You have to share mental space. You have to share, you know, moments of interest. You have to share TV time. You have to share. It's a sharing. And that's not the easiest, especially when you get married, you know, at 35, like, and we're both around the same age. So it's just like, it's not the easiest because we built a life that has been, you know, somewhat successful. She's a PhD in her final semester for a PhD. And I, you know, doing what I'm doing. And so we have a level of it working well individually. And so to bring those, it's working well individually, and I've already found my rhythm together, not simple. And I know I'm not the easiest, but you know, she's not either. So we just are journeying together to undo and become what destiny called for. Yeah.
I love the depth and the truth of that answer because truly, you know, the Instagram quotes or the relationship goals look or whatever it is, yes, we have a thought of what we think community looks like and union looks like. And it's really beautiful to know and just be reminded that it's work, and it doesn't mean it's not beautiful and blissful, but it is still work. And so how do you guys, and this definitely isn't supposed to be like about your marriage, but I love, because it's still about you as a person putting in the work and showing up as yourself. And so how do you guys have those tougher conversations with security still, you know, at the end goal? Because it can be a very insecure or at least it's easy to get insecure in those harder moments, right? When it's like, okay, you're not easy, I'm not easy. Like, you know, we have to find the middle ground. I want the middle ground to be more my ground. Like there's a lot of, because that's every relationship.
That's every relationship. And exactly what you said, because it speaks to self-love. It speaks to love with our creator and love with one another. You have to make room and make space, make time. You have to make time and you have to make room. And I think oftentimes with ourselves, we try to rush ourselves to arrive at something way sooner than ourselves are able to process to truly get there and for it to be worth it once we get there. Because I don't want to arrive anywhere where I haven't learned anything. I haven't gained anything. I haven't built or developed anything. Don't just have me sit there, because then I won't know what to do when I get there. And so I think we have learned, and we are learning because it's still new, to acknowledge, because you can't heal what you don't reveal. So what we do is we confront the issue for what it is. And then we say, okay, listen, we both love God a whole lot. Like we love God a lot. Mm-hmm. We got to do better, because this is a reflection of our honor for the God we believe to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And if he loves us, if God loves us through all of our crap, I gotta be willing to do some, come on, so it's a lot of that. And when I speak to the self-love and all those other things, those are the same parallels, because those same principles need to happen with myself. Yo, you may want to be over here and healed and delivered or free from this, but you can't be until you address the very thing that's holding you captive. And so that's the thing. That's the key, I believe.
I love that. What has been your addressing practice thus far? Because I know for me in this past 6 months, it's been dramatically different. We started the conversation with how are you? And we can get into that a little bit. But I love that you pointed, we all want to be somewhere. And I think even in the 6 months, we watched ourselves be like, okay, I know it's my first pandemic, but I can get, no, it's your first, like none of us have been here, like we
ever.
So let's not apply that same mentality we've been doing outside that we realized was trifling, and try to bring it into this space. This is very new. And so I love that you talk about the addressing. What does that practice look like for you? Whether it's changed over the 6 months, has it been different? Has it been, more, has it been harder? What has that been? I'm like clutching my pearls, because I'm like, I can feel you.
Listen.
Oh man.
You start to realize that in this pandemic, what it has done as a pressure cooker, I believe it is literally a pressure cooker. We've had to grow, we've had to survive, we've had to adapt, we've had to adjust, we've had to release, we've had to hold on, all under pressure. We've had to figure it out under pressure.
Yeah.
But then you realize at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff we've been holding on to doesn't really matter. Even the wealthiest of folks look silly. The ones that are still flossing, they look silly. It doesn't hit the same. Nobody's saying, oh, I want that, because they're like, what can I do with that?
What? I can't go outside. I can't.
What am I going to do with that? And so you start getting down to the treasures that are true and necessary. You get down to valuing peace as a true treasure.
Yeah.
My peace of mind is really a treasure. So I'm going to lock in on that, because you start to find that even the wealthiest people are running all around trying to clamor for peace that can never be bought. And so so what it is, it's a reckoning. It's definitely a reckoning that I made all this fuss over things that really didn't matter. So I've spent some very valuable energy in a direction that won't serve me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's going to stick? And I want to, this is just, I love how our conversations organically move, and I can't help it as a hope dealer. I want to even affirm you, because what you've put your time, your heart, and your attention to, they are pretty much invaluable, because they have no what I'm seeing is you have not wasted your time at all. You have not wasted your investments at all. And I love when I can connect with the person and help them realize just how good they've lived. You have made every moment mean something. I remember watching a video when you went to New York for Fashion Week or something, and it was going great. Yeah. And it was so dope. And I'm like, go on, Stacy, get it all. And then you ran into an opposition. And even in that, you still recorded it and gave it to the people and helped people see you're not alone, because I've been there. I've been there when I was approved for some of the dopest red carpets.
Right.
And I know we did our due diligence, because that's our style. It's
Right.
how we were brought up. Be excellent in all things. Small, large, whatever, just be excellent, because fruit still got to come from this thing. And so, and I remember showing up to things that I was qualified for, that I've already been approved for, and not getting the access. And I'm like, or being within a way that it's like, yo, this ain't right. But you showed up in the fullness of your truth, and God rewards vulnerability. Every ounce of vulnerability is always rewarded. And so I salute you, because even in that, you were able to have content I can live on and still inspire people. Oftentimes people try to script those moments to give people this inspiration, but you lived it, and lived it all the way fully, and it still exists as something that a person can draw hope from and say, now this is the class that I must maintain in all things. And so, you know, for me, I'm just collecting it all. I'm not afraid now to just collect all of the ugly, the good, the sideways, the seriously. You know, I'm dealing with label stuff right now, where I'm trying to figure out, like, seriously, you know, I don't know where my next home is going to be. And most people are like, oh, Major just got it together. And I'm like, no, I just move in excellence. So you'll probably never really know how, you know, much I'm scraping the concrete. But at the end of the day, I'm going to get back up,
Right.
You know, and I'm going to use what I have, and it's going to be beautiful, because I know that every time I step out on faith, God meets me with a platform that says, your step, your leap was worth taking, you know? So yeah, that's what I'm doing with all this stuff.
I have to thank you so much for that, because in the conversation now, I feel like it's going to have to shift, because you just brought so much realness to the journey of being in this industry, and, you know, working towards whatever, and the striving culture. And it is a culture that I have truly tried to die to, especially in the 6 months. And it's very difficult, because you know how we work, you know how I work, and I know how you work. So it's a lot of, we're gonna make it work. Nope, we're gonna make it work. No, we'll make it work. We can do that. And a lot of this 6 months was teaching myself to say no to things that, even if I can make it work, I shouldn't. It's not necessary. It's not essential right now. Instead of choosing A, which felt and looked more glittery, I chose B, which could be, tonight's going to be about cooking a meal and keeping my neck. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I thought I was becoming, and this is, for lack of better word, sinful. To find out I'm becoming calmer and more healed and more at peace. And that was a very difficult trade-off, because I'm like, but I like the loud and the glitter and the glam. And I thought that was what I thought that was gonna work, guys. And it's like, actually, this right here might eventually bring you there, might not. Point is, the peace, the calm, the way of thinking, what's important, the essentials. And it's been a bit of a shock, Major. I can't lie. Like, it's been, because you're like, what was I doing? Like, I've asked myself, so was all that important? Is this call necessary? Do we need to be on it for 45 minutes? What are we really talking about? What are we really? And so I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I would love to know, you're asking yourself those same questions, because I know we are we are energy. We are doing it. We are moving. Every time you and I cross paths, it's let me. I mean, it was energy, which was so needed. And then we move towards now energy. Even this energy is like, it's still beautiful. It doesn't look like that though, but it's still energy. So it's been a questioning, you know, a beautiful reckoning, a hard reckoning. and an interesting one that's still happening. And so I just thank you so much for saying that, because I've definitely battled with time wasting and trying to figure out what was a waste of time, what is important, what isn't important. And so just thank you, because keeping the truth in the story is very important to me. We have to keep.
Don't forget the seed, the many, many, many seeds that you have in the ground. You have lots of seed in the ground. Lots of it. And some harvest comes after rain, some harvest comes after pain, some harvest comes after sunshine. Comes at different times, but you will always have harvest because you've planted many, many seeds. Don't forget that.
Wow.
While you're clamoring to figure out where the next resource is going to come from, remember that the resource is coming. Just prepare for the work. Prepare for the duty, the next duty, because the resource for it isn't automatic, because you have seed in the ground. You have plenty seed. You have seen people when no one else wanted to see them. You even saw the people that everybody else wanted to see. God has been able to trust you in the highs and the lows, in the dark and the brightest. He's been able to trust you in all of that. You have resource. This is stuff I have to remind myself. Right now, you know, it's like one moment I'm like, well, I need to get them to do this. I need them to agree with me on this so that it can happen. And then he's like, if you think your destiny is limited to that individual or that entity getting it, you have missed the greatness of who I am, God, and what I intended for your life. It has never been subject to the way in which someone inconsistently moves. You are the one that has to choose to show up so that you can then, as we said before, glow up.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's what this love thing is. Choosing to show up.
Right.
In all of it. Because as you spoke to you being vulnerable, you being at peace and having more calm, all I saw was power. Those are the elements that make for power.
Yeah.
And so I really, really want us to not miss ourselves in this season, because even as I am married, I do believe God wants me to see me. And so what he's doing is he's showing me, me in a way that I have to see me.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I want to develop, because that's where the superpower, that's where that power source comes from. The most authentic, scarred, wounded, traumatized, sometimes triggered, super sensitive, but super strong at the same time, all of that. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure you do it well.
Yo,
show up.
Wow. I'm like, this was my personal session.
But that's what God does. He makes certain that you get what you need when you make certain that you show up for others.
Yeah.
That's what love is. That's what love is. Because you made this moment to connect, to give, to highlight, to spotlight. And God says, oh, you ain't eliminated from this equation. There's two variables in this thing to equal the goodness.
That's so good, Major. Wow. That's so good. I love to talk about showing up. Thank you. And I love that you talk about showing up in love And that it's crazy because there are so many layers to it, as I said in the beginning. So for you, what has showing up for yourself look like? Has it been different? What is an example of I'm showing up in love for myself right now?
I'm really on, I have my patio. I done kind of decked it out a little bit, the balcony, put some turf on it to kind of feel like a garden and stuff. And, I go out there and I take walks just to breathe in the air, whatever is as clear as possible here in LA with fires and such. But I mean, it's sometimes just saying, you know what, I feel like some ice cream, and just taking a moment to get that, and not being so concerned about, oh, I can't have ice cream because I got to look a certain way. It's like, nah, man, I need some ice cream.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get it, and it's gonna be good, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And then you start realizing that it's almost as if time adjusts to accommodate what you needed to do. It's amazing. It's amazing how it works that way. You start to realize all that hustle and bustle was unnecessary because, how many times have we done it where, because that's something I know that you possess too, that real excellent thing. And it's like, no, we got to get it done because I know how they work and they do this. And then you get it done and then you realize they aren't even ready yet.
Yeah. Major that. Yeah. And it speaks to so much of, again, this moment of what we now think is important, because as you mentioned, there's some silliness going on. Sometimes you look silly doing the stuff we was doing. Hey, January, we're not doing that no more, man. But listen, do you? It's like, whatever, do you? So in some moments I recognize that's silly and I keep it moving. In some moments, I'm not gonna lie, I sit with it and I get comparison mode. And I'm like, oh dang, I knew you should have Stacy, you should have went harder. And it's like, so I've had my moments of, I've left social for weeks at a time or days at a time. I've stayed in the cocoon for times. When I came to LA, I didn't tell anyone for a couple of days. Like, I'm finding those. I'm recognizing we in adulthood. So you got to be real with yourself. It's like, hey, Stacy, you know that doing the most right now isn't going to work for you. You need to be inside as much as possible. Inside, physically, mentally, spiritually, you need to be in here. So for you, when the comparison pops up, what's the practice for you?
Oh, I have to say, I literally say straight up, like I talk to myself, Major, you got to chill. You got to stop. You got to chill because this didn't serve you the last time you did it. Comparison never serves us. It never delivers.
You always
even if
you always have the wrong meal. What's up? Why do I
Right. Comparison never delivers well for you. It always delivers either an embarrassment or realization that you have been focusing on the wrong lane the whole time, because that lane that you tried to compare yourself to is going somewhere you don't even want to go. And so you end up seeing that they done landed in a space that's so not even your vibe. And it's like, yo, I was comparing myself to that. Now I feel stupid because I done wasted time. When I look at the sky, I'm like, yo, I can follow that plane, but there's a reason why the sky is so big, because there's enough room for all of us up there to even do what we need to do and go the way we need to go. And so I have to check myself like that. It's crazy because I'll literally in the same day start comparing, and then the next moment I realize, Ninja, you need to bring it on back.
Calm it down.
Bring it on back.
Calm it down.
And then I'll get back to seeing something else. But what you have to do is...
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I don't know. Somebody's right outside my door. Can you hear the noise?
It's not as loud as it was before. There was a little baby or something.
But yeah, and I just want to tell them to, because I can edit this. Let me just, because I cannot have this over.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Let me just make sure.
Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this space and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. It will all be worth it. It will all be worth it. Bless my sister.
Oh, they were so gracious. Okay. I was like, hey, give me 25 more minutes, please. This is a little loud. And they were like, okay, it's all good. I'm like, when did y'all start mowing on Friday? What's going on? Okay.
It happens. It happens.
And I appreciate you so much. But we were talking about, you were just saying in one moment you compare and then the next moment you'll be, So talk through that if you don't mind.
Yeah, the next moment, one moment I'm comparing, the next moment I'm not, and then I go back to it, and but I got to have the real conversation with myself. I got to be patient with myself and say, yo, it's real to see something that looks close to what you think you deserve.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real to look at that thing. So while I'm looking, let me identify what I admire.
Yeah.
And let me identify what I could possibly do.
Right.
And if that was your opportunity, how would you do it better? And so it doesn't mean that you can't look and start, evaluating.
Right.
Just realize at the end of the day, that is their space, because it's their space.
Right. That's
period.
Yeah, that's so fair in terms of now we have adjusted it to, hating to celebrating. And that is actually something that you said 4 years ago. Like, I remember you talking about how the fake I care about you and I'm proud of you doesn't work. Stop doing that. I remember reading that tweet. I remember having that conversation with you, and you were like, hey, while we're too busy telling other people like you shouldn't and you should, what's up with you? And that goes all the way back to what is our version of self-love, where it's deeper than just a caption or just the conversation. It's really actualized. And that right there is a moment of self-love. And so I just, because even in the process of that, the ego is dying, which has been fun.
And as the ego dies, glory rises, goodness rises, purpose says, thank you. I got room now to stretch out and show out. When the ego dies, purpose thanks you. It says, I now have room to stretch out and show out. As ego dies, Stacy. And I'm not saying that you are just walking around fully arrogant, but the thing is, we know when it's ego. It just comes. But that's what happens when you're studied and learned and you put in work. Of course, I should have this. Of course, this should be my portion. But what happens when you say, okay, so this has yet to be my portion. God, show me where my fruit and harvest is, because I know I put seed in the ground. So maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, only to find that your table is being prepared just off to the left over here. So when we humble ourselves, we can be, it's like, it's malleable, where we can be moved around and better postured. And then you start realizing, whoa, all of this is for me. I can share by taking it over to somebody, but literally all of this is my territory and it belongs to me. And so I know we're kind of rambling with it. It still has value to it, but I just want to get us back to when you speak to love. Love is showing up in full, releasing everything so that you can receive everything.
That's so good. And truly, it all does connect, because every story you told, every story I shared, all of those, not only are they coming from love, but they are hopefully giving love to our guests who are watching, who are really feeling.
Oh yeah.
Conversations like this, that they don't happen for no reason. So to your point, yeah, like I knew what I wanted to talk about, but it doesn't mean that, I mean, now we're in it and I'm like, and this is what we're talking about, people. And it's amazing. And
yeah.
About how, you know, we've all experienced some type of rejection during this time, and what that process of rejection is within love, you know, because we're talking about self-love and sometimes how we reject ourselves. We're talking about, you know, love within a relationship and the rejection that can happen there. Relationship and love with our careers, with our passions or purpose, and the rejection that has come out of that. That is the one I'm going to focus on in this moment and this question. But what is experiencing rejection like within love, and what is that process for you?
Knowing that love never escapes you. It's just whether you're going to choose to dwell in it or not. Rejection is a part of finding what is meant. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because when you know how great you are, you can't see yourself not fitting in any space. But have you ever thought, who brings filet mignon in the middle of a McDonald's and says, all right, let's eat? Some things don't belong in some places.
Yeah.
And so you have to be okay with them not belonging. Sometimes you don't belong in that space, no matter how much you can see yourself being able to help it and fix it. You don't belong. I don't belong in some of the places I'm fighting for. But when I do get to a place, when we do arrive, that's where we belong. So because I know rejection. I know rejection. And I remember the conversation that I had. It was with 5 folks. My Uncle D.L. Hughley was talking about how many, he was one of the 5. It was him, my mom, Molly Music, Harmony Samuels, and Erica Campbell. But it was D.L. Hughley's conversation when he said, I know it hasn't been easy. And I know you've been rejected, but I need you to understand something. I've lost way more times than I've won. And the reason people know me for my wins and not my losses is because when I do win, I show up and I give it everything. We have to realize that no is not a knock on your ability. It's not a knock on your quality. It's not a knock on what you carry. It's this ain't your thing.
Yeah.
This isn't your thing. And we just have to be like, okay, well, it's not mine. It's not mine. Somebody just recently said, no means on to the next. I said, I'm gonna make no my acronym. Next one. Next one. Next one. All right.
good.
All right, so next one.
So good.
Next one. Think about it.
Mm.
Do you ever go grocery shopping and you go, let's say we go to the fruit section. You don't just grab just any grapes. You look for the one that you want.
Mm-hmm.
They're all grapes, but you look for the one that looks the most right for you. And sometimes we may even pick the one that looks the best and they don't even taste like they did the last time. But I just want you to know that there's a next one.
Mm.
There's a next one. No, next one. There's a next one.
Yeah.
Next one.
Mm-hmm.
And when it is the one, woo, we know what that feels like when it's the one.
Right. Right.
Next one. Next one. That's where your no is. That's how we see the no.
That's so good.
Next one. And if you don't want to take the acronym for next one, no being next one, you can flip no and say it's on. All right, showing up.
Hey,
It's
yes.
on. But
It's
I love
the word. Yes.
You know what I mean? Just flip it. It's perspective. How are you going to look at it?
Mm. What's the last thing you forgave yourself for the first time?
The last thing I forgave myself for. Whoa, that's interesting. I never thought of that. The last thing I forgave myself for. What do I need to forgive myself for?
Mm.
I guess it would be me not trusting. I started to try to figure out how I can get busy to remedy the potential loss that the pandemic was bringing. So I'm like trying to figure out all these different things that I can do.
Yeah.
Forgiving myself for not living the hope that I give. Because I'm forever telling everybody else how they can get out of their stuff. And these are tools that I know to be true.
Yeah.
But I get so caught up in my stuff that I forget to apply the same principles that I just watched deliver somebody else. I just watched it help somebody else. So forgiving myself for not living the hope that I've been giving. And that comes with the trusting, not trusting God will make a way out of all of this stuff. And I do a lot of times show up courageously to issues and situations where I will say, God gonna have to get me through this one.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got nothing else.
Mm.
But a lot of times I think once I start winning, you start believing your own hype.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you start thinking that you got it. And so I had to forgive myself for that.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. truly. And I ask that because a lot of the process in love that I have experienced starts with the self-forgiveness, the self-compassion. And I just didn't realize how much that had to be a constant practice in order for love to be a constant practice. We're never going to always get it right. There is no right and wrong. There is no only one way. And the truth in that is a lot of recognizing this went a different way than I expected, immediately forgiving ourselves from the thing that we, all the stuff, and moving to self-compassion. And I'm personally trying to make that as fast as possible. But even in that, doing it without it being a perfectionist practice, just a practice.
Yeah, because I deal with that too. And I think I also have to forgive myself for not being okay with missing it.
Yeah.
Forgive myself forgive myself for thinking I needed to present so perfect. I know excellent. I always try to move in excellence, but it starts trying to get to perfect, and then.
And perfect is sold to us. Perfect is not even real. It's something that is sold, as in, hey, we made this up, packaged it, and now we're handing it to you guys like it's real life, and it's not. Progress is real. Trying is real, but they don't package that up. They package perfection because it looks good and it fit really great in a bottle and everybody wants it. Why not? Let's sell that. That was the slap in the face that I got in April. I was like, I've been buying. This isn't even, it's impossible. We're taking away from the humanity every time we buy that. Every time. And then we start selling it to our friends and telling other people and expect it's a wild ride, truly. It's the one I was like, what? Even in our humbleness, our humanity, our excellence, that's something I think we're all experiencing. And so the more, I have guests that share and are real in the process of like, yeah, it happened to me too. I bought it too, or whatever. Cause I bought it. I mean, I it's right there in the house, like, and that's why human to human was so important. Cause I was like, we have to marry our experiences a lot deeper than we've been doing, y'all. The truth, we're all in this together, but we've just intellectually said it. We've never really experienced it. We're not really believing that we're in this together. Like when Major said what he's forgiving himself for, I heard that. I'm like, okay, like in it together, not just listening to each other talk about each other's experiences and then try to go be perfect still.
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing that, because it's really, I think it's very pivotal in this time. And I wonder for you, what is a belief system that you had maybe walking into this year or just recently in general that you've had to rewrite about yourself?
Throughout my life, I've wrestled with worthy. Most people don't see it because of how I show up. Always confident, but I'm always courageous. My courage makes me show up.
Yeah.
But worthy to find forever love, being married now, and I'm worthy to be someone's husband. I'm worthy to be out there making music and singing and sharing. I'm worthy and I'm worthy. I'm worthy. yeah, just showing up in the space that I'm given.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's telling you this time has people really introspective, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't yeah, just and I and that Selah, that pause, that be still and know. Be still and know. A lot of times people think that being still or silence is a statement of you don't have a clue. But I'm going to be still because I know what the Father told me.
Yeah. That's very good. Ooh. Wow. Well, I'm sitting in that one. Also, I have recently been opening up to my guests feeling free to ask me a question as well, because it is called human to human. So I never wanted to be where I'm, just asking you these personal questions and then, you guys aren't. And I've been able to give myself to so many of these conversations, but I just wanted to open up the floor in case there was anything on your mind that you were like, so what are you thinking about this?
I think we kind of naturally had a back and forth exchange, but I will say, what do you need to exhaust?
Mm,
What do you need to exhale?
that's a beautiful question. I think I currently need to exhaust certainty. That's something that I still struggle with needing, knowing I'm not going to get it. And that's the thing about the knowing and then the doing. Because, like, I'm very aware that you're not going to know everything. And so I'm working towards, and I'm constantly working on not allowing the fear of the future to mess up the present, or the whatever happened in the past to dictate the future, right? Like the present is it. But even on my drive this morning, I literally I do a voice note as much as I can if I'm having thoughts and I can't journal in the moment. I'm like, voice note it. So I got a little rough on the voice note today. I said, God, just tell me, man. Like, I literally was like, just tell me. Like, stop playing. Like, this is, because it's crazy. Yesterday I spent 3 hours at the beach and I was like, okay, God, I'm good. You ain't got to tell me nothing. Right. And then the next day I'm like, hey, actually, I need to know. Like, and it was such I was like, what? Like, you spent 3 hours releasing yesterday. So what do you need? And it was just one of those human moments of like, wow, we're all of these things. Not about being crazy. We're all over the place. No, we're all of it. And it was really cool, but it was hard. I had a moment of like, I needed certainty again. And I was like, what? Like, what? And it was just about, because I've been struggling with, okay, so that's great that you found this level of peace and this level of calm and just, I mean, truly the things I think are important have shed it in a completely different way. And that is amazing. But now my question is, so if it's not this, what is it? That's the question I'm asking God now. I'm like, it makes sense that it's not this. You've given me so much of the thing I thought I needed. And then you're like, hey, that might not be it. And I'm like, that's great. Well, what is it though? Because I still love purpose. I still love passion. I'm not really the type that's just going to sit around. So what is it? That's the current thing yeah.
Certainty.
Yeah.
We're certainly not alone in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what most people deal with.
Yeah.
The key to getting past that for me often is collecting the data on track record in your life, does it ultimately work out generally?
Yes.
There's your certainty.
That's good. Yeah.
Has God always made a way?
Right. Right. Right.
There's your certainty. Because faith being your anchor, that's what you are locking to. Because God will always grace the steps of the journey of the faithful. He will always. There's your certainty.
Right.
You will never take a trip with God that you don't return glad you did. And so we have to set ourselves in that space, because our certainty really isn't on, I want it to be what I know God is going to give, which is going to be better than anything I can put together. It's really, I need to know it's going to look like this. And you have to realize that in order for this to be a good thing and a fun thing, it's got to be better than that. So free yourself from it having to look like this and lock in on the fact that it's going to be better than this. And that becomes your replacement for the certainty. That becomes your answer to the certainty. I have to continue showing up well. Your family's not always going to get it, but there's going to be moments where they will get it. And they're going to be like, keep going, Stacy. And there's going to be other moments where they're going to be asking you a bunch of questions like, so what are you doing next? And then you're like, wait, you were just supporting me. You know what I mean? And so you have to literally hold to your anchor. Hold to God's unchanging hand. I had to forgive myself for not receiving the grace that is always given, that's freely given. I wasn't receiving grace. I had to forgive myself for not receiving grace. I sing about it being amazing. Grace is not just, okay, you know, I'm gonna sit you still. Grace can take you on adventure. Grace can blow your mind. Let it. Your certainty is that the grace has never cheated you, nor has favor.
Ooh. That's good. Grace is going to blow your mind. Let it. That I will be sitting with. I will be sitting with that.
Ever cheated you, it's going to blow your mind. Let it. And you have to remind yourself, all right, Grace, where are we going today? Make Grace your invisible friend. Grace, what we doing today? All right, morning. Are we hooking up with favor today? And literally have those moments like it's okay. Because when it starts showing up in your life, people are going to want to take after those that way of doing things as well. They're going to be like, let me try some of that. Let me talk to Grace today because I want what she's got.
Love that. I love that.
Be not weary in your well-doing, for in due season you will reap your harvest of blessing if you faint not. Be not weary in your well-doing, for in due season you will reap your harvest if you faint not.
Hope we're all
Woo!
deep breath with that.
Yeah.
Or continue. You were gonna say something.
No, but I was gonna say you can dip into almost every single religious practice and they will say the same thing. This philosophy is very real. I think there was a statement Rumi said, that which you seek is seeking you. It will be found and it'll be good.
I always thought that was such a beautifully easy but complex phrase. I would be like, so you're looking for me, but I'm looking for you? What's going on? It would be so like, I would sit with that, like, what a beautiful, complex thing to say. And so easily, but such a practice at the same time. I love that. That was such a perfect quote to bring up because I really was like, I've screenshotted it several times. You know, it's been one of those things, but yeah, thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Human to human, heart to heart.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, human to human, heart to heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for being on this episode and for going on this journey with us. And truly, what I believe is healing and incredibly powerful to exchange stories and to exchange heart and to exchange the momentum of where we are. And I'm sending you so much love, Major, and letting you and reminding you, know, you are the playlist, bro. You're the playlist. I have several videos dancing to songs of my friend Major. I have several. Like, you are, you know, your voice alone, not just your singing voice, but your voice is so needed. And so I'm so grateful that you were able to give us, you know, some time and just me.
I'm excited for all of the people on here that are going to be healed and freed and set into their great destiny. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to hearing from them. Salute to you for creating a forum that allows this conversation to go forth, but to be vulnerable. That's where the superpowers are birthed from, vulnerability. And so, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I'm glad that the songs that I've created and sung are able to inspire and soundtrack your winning and your getting, you know. And so, yeah, a song that I would dedicate to you. There's two, actually. There's New Day and there's Shine Bright.
I gotta
listen to those. Yeah, yeah. New Day and Shine Bright. Listen to those.
Gosh. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm doing that, but all y'all need to do that too, because that is like, that's so special, Major.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I was muting because I wanted to make sure that you guys don't hear too much of the background, but I love that you guys are still here with us, rocking with us. You know, we're in quarantine, so we're still making it all work. So I just appreciate you guys for your patience and for truly being here, and you as well, Major. So thank you guys for watching. New episode.
All right.
Coming soon.
Use everything you got and do it well. Peace.
Bye, guys. I love the peace.